The night Lena Carter's freedom died, she was wearing scrubs stained with someone else's blood and hadn't slept in 36 hours. She didn't know the man in the black suit waiting outside the hospital was there to collect a debt she'd never agreed to pay. She didn't know her mother had signed her life away 6 months ago. And she definitely didn't know that Adrian Voss, the man the city whispered about in fear, had been watching her every move since the ink dried on a marriage certificate she'd never seen. If you want to see how far this story goes, hit that like button and drop a comment with your city. Now, let me tell you how it all began. The fluorescent lights in County General's break room buzzed like dying insects. Lena stared at the vending machine, trying to remember if she'd eaten today. Her reflection in the glass looked hollow, dark circles, hair escaping its bun, the kind of exhaustion that lived in your bones. "Carter, you're up. Bed 3 needs vitals." She didn't turn around, just nodded and pushed off the wall, legs protesting. 16 hours down, 8 to go. Then the morning shift at the diner, then back here. The math was simple. Mom's treatment cost $12,000 a month. Insurance covered maybe half. The rest came from Lena's veins, one shift at a time. Her phone buzzed. She almost ignored it, probably another bill she couldn't pay, but the screen showed an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Miss Carter." Not a question, a statement. Male voice, smooth like expensive whiskey. "Your presence is required at the Voss Tower penthouse. A car is waiting outside the employee entrance." "I think you have the wrong—" "We don't." Click. Lena stood frozen in the hallway, phone still pressed to her ear. Voss Tower. Everyone in the city knew that name. Adrian Voss, the man who owned half the waterfront and all the politicians, the kind of man whose business deals ended with people disappearing. She should have deleted the call, gone back to work, pretended it never happened. Instead, she found herself walking toward the exit. The car was a black Mercedes with windows so dark she couldn't see inside. The driver stood beside it, tall, built like he ate dumbbells for breakfast, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her rent. "Miss Carter," he opened the back door. "I don't—" Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. "I don't know what this is about. Mr. Voss will explain everything." "And if I say no?" The driver's expression didn't change. "Your mother's next treatment is scheduled for Friday. Street, Vincent's Hospital, Oncology Wing, room 412. Dr. Patterson is very optimistic about her latest scans." Lena's blood turned to ice. "How do you—" "The car, Miss Carter." She got in because she wasn't stupid enough to think she had a choice. The drive took 20 minutes through downtown, away from the neighborhood she knew, into the part of the city where buildings scraped clouds and doormen wore white gloves. Voss Tower stood taller than the rest, all glass and steel and money. They didn't use the main entrance. The driver took her through an underground garage past rows of luxury cars that could have paid her mother's medical bills for a year. An elevator opened directly from the garage. No buttons inside, just brushed chrome and mirrors that showed her how out of place she was. The numbers climbed. 20 floors. 30. 40. She should have been terrified. She was terrified. But underneath that was something else, a weird, detached curiosity, like watching a car crash in slow motion. The elevator stopped. The doors opened onto a penthouse that didn't look real. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Furniture that belonged in magazines. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than most people made in their lives. And standing by the window, silhouetted against the glittering skyline, was Adrian Voss. She'd seen his picture in the papers. Those photos didn't do him justice. Or maybe they did him too much. He was younger than she expected. Mid-30s maybe, with dark hair and the kind of face that made photographers' jobs easy. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, eyes that were probably meant to be attractive, but instead looked like they could calculate your net worth in a glance. He turned when she entered. Didn't smile. "Lena Carter." He said her name like he'd been practicing. "You're late." "I was working." "Not anymore." She blinked. "Excuse me?" "You quit both jobs this evening." "I had my assistant send the paperwork." He moved away from the window, and she noticed he walked with the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. "You won't need them." "What the hell are you talking about?" "Sit down." "I'd rather stand." That wasn't a request. Something in his voice made her knees buckle. She found herself sinking into a chair that cost more than her car. Adrian remained standing, looking down at her with an expression she couldn't read. 6 months ago, he said, your mother signed a contract. In exchange for full medical coverage, experimental treatments, private doctors, everything insurance wouldn't touch. She agreed to a specific arrangement. Lena's throat went dry. What kind of arrangement? A marriage. Between you and me. The words didn't make sense. She heard them, understood the individual meanings, but together they were nonsense. That's insane. It's legal. He pulled a folder from the desk behind him and dropped it in her lap. The ceremony took place 3 weeks ago. You were there. She opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside was a marriage certificate. Her signature at the bottom, right next to Adrian Voss's. The date was listed as March 15th, 3 weeks ago, like he said. Her voice cracked. I don't remember this. You were given something to help with anxiety, a mild sedative. The priest was very understanding. The room tilted. You drugged me. I ensured you were calm enough to fulfill the contract your mother signed. He said it like he was discussing the weather. Everything was legal. Everything was witnessed. And now, Mrs. Voss, you're home. She shot to her feet, folders scattering across the floor. I'm not your wife. I don't care what some paper says. Your mother's treatment resumes tomorrow, doctor. Patterson has her scheduled for a new therapy that's showing remarkable results in stage 3 patients. The cost is approximately $80,000 per month. I've already paid for the first 6 months. Lena felt the trap close around her throat. This is blackmail. This is business. Adrian moved closer, and she caught his scent, something expensive and cedar. Your mother made a deal. I upheld my end. Now you'll uphold yours. By what? Playing house with a stranger? By living here, appearing when required, and staying out of my way. His eyes were the color of slate, cold and flat. I don't expect affection, Mrs. Voss. I expect compliance. She wanted to spit in his face, run for the elevator, scream until someone called the police. Not that they'd come, not for Adrian Voss. Instead, she heard herself ask, what happens if I refuse? Your mother's coverage stops immediately. She has about 3 months without treatment, maybe 4 if she's lucky. He tilted his head, studying her like a specimen. But you won't refuse because despite your anger, despite your very justified outrage, you love your mother more than you hate me. You son of a... Your room is on the 2nd floor. Maria will show you up. He turned back to the window, dismissing her. Dinner is at 8. I expect you dressed appropriately. A woman appeared from nowhere. Short, middle-aged, kind eyes that didn't match the situation. This way, Mrs. Voss. Lena didn't move. Couldn't. Her whole life had just been ripped apart, and she was supposed to what? Go pick out an outfit? Lena! Adrian's voice stopped her at the elevator. She turned. He was still facing the window. Your mother doesn't know about the marriage. I'd prefer to keep it that way. As far as she's concerned, you're working for a very generous employer who believes in taking care of his employees' families. How thoughtful. I can be. When properly motivated. The doors closed before she could respond. The room was actually a suite larger than her entire apartment. King bed with sheets that probably had a thread count higher than her credit score. Bathroom with a tub big enough to drown in. Walk-in closet already filled with clothes that definitely weren't hers. Maria hovered in the doorway. If you need anything, I need to leave. The older woman's expression softened. I know this is difficult. Do you? Lena laughed, and it came out slightly hysterical. Do you know what it's like to find out you're married to a man you've never met? That your mother sold you like livestock? Your mother was desperate. People do terrible things when they're desperate. And him? What's his excuse? Maria didn't answer, just set fresh towels on the bathroom counter and left. Lena sat on the edge of the bed and tried to breathe. This wasn't real, couldn't be real. Any minute, she'd wake up in the break room at County General, and this would be just another stress dream brought on by too much caffeine and not enough sleep. Her phone rang. Mom. She almost didn't answer, but old habits died hard. Sweetheart, Her mother's voice sounded stronger than it had in months. The doctor just left. The new treatment, they think it might actually work. They're talking about remission, Lena. Real remission. Lena closed her eyes. That's great, Mom. And your boss, Mr. Voss. He's covering everything. I don't know how you managed to find such a generous employer, but I have to go. Lena? Are you okay? You sound... I'm fine. Just tired. I'll visit this weekend. She hung up before her mother could ask more questions, before she could break down and tell her the truth, that her generous employer was actually her husband, and the price of that generosity was Lena's entire future. A knock on the door. Maria again. Dinner in 30 minutes, Mrs. Voss. Mr. Voss prefers punctuality. Mr. Voss can prefer whatever he wants. But she got up anyway, found a dress in the closet that looked less expensive than the others, which still meant it probably cost more than a month's rent. She'd never worn anything like it. The fabric felt wrong against her skin, like playing dress-up in someone else's life. The dining room was on the main floor, table long enough to seat 20, set for 2 at opposite ends like they were negotiating a peace treaty. Adrian was already seated. He'd changed into a different suit because apparently one obscenely expensive suit per day wasn't enough. He glanced up when she entered and something flickered across his face, gone too fast to read. You're 3 minutes late. Sue me. Sit. She did, because her legs were shaking and the chair was right there. A staff member appeared immediately, not Maria, someone else, and placed a plate in front of her. Salmon, asparagus, some kind of grain she didn't recognize. It smelled incredible, which made her angrier. You should eat, Adrian said. You're underweight. Thanks for the observation. It's not a criticism, it's a fact. He cut into his salmon with surgical precision. When was the last time you had a proper meal? When was the last time you kidnapped someone? His knife paused. You weren't kidnapped, you were collected. Right, totally different. They ate in silence, or rather, he ate. Lena pushed food around her plate and tried to plan her escape. There had to be a way out, a legal loophole, something. You're thinking about running, Adrian said without looking up. I'm thinking about a lot of things. Don't. Now he met her eyes. You won't make it past the lobby. And even if you did, where would you go? Back to your apartment? I own the building. Back to work? I own your former employers. You can't own people. Can't I? He smiled, and it was the cruelest expression she'd ever seen. Look around, Lena. This is your life now. The sooner you accept that, the easier it'll be. She threw her napkin on the table and stood. I'm not hungry. Sit down. Go to hell. She made it 2 steps before his voice cracked like a whip. I said sit down. And her body obeyed before her brain could override it. She sank back into the chair, hating herself for the compliance, hating him for commanding it. Adrian leaned back, studying her. We're going to establish some rules. 1, you live here. This is non-negotiable. 2, you attend events with me when required. Charity galas, business dinners, anything where a wife's presence is expected. 3, you don't embarrass me in public. And in private? In private, I don't care what you do. Hate me all you want. Just do it quietly. Woo. He stood, buttoning his jacket. I have a conference call. Maria will show you the rest of the penthouse. Don't wander into my office or my bedroom. Everywhere else is fair game. How generous. He paused at the doorway. Your mother's treatment starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. Dr. Patterson will call you with updates. I thought you'd want to know. Then he was gone, and Lena was alone in a dining room bigger than her old life, surrounded by wealth she'd never asked for and freedom she'd never get back. She didn't sleep. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that marriage certificate. Her signature, slightly shaky like she'd been drunk or drugged. At 3 a.m., she gave up and explored the penthouse. Adrian had said everywhere was fair game except 2 rooms. Naturally, those were the only ones she wanted to see. His office was locked. Biometric scanner, the works. She moved on. His bedroom door stood slightly ajar. She shouldn't. This was already insane enough without adding breaking and entering to the list. She pushed it open anyway. The room was surprisingly simple. King bed, dark sheets, minimal furniture. No personal photos, no decorations. It looked like a hotel room, expensive but impersonal, like he didn't actually live here. A desk in the corner caught her attention, papers spread across it, a laptop still glowing. She drifted closer, knowing she was crossing a line but unable to stop. Most of the papers were contracts, legal documents filled with language she didn't understand, but one folder stood out, her name on the tab. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Her leaving the hospital, walking into the diner, shopping at the grocery store, sitting in her apartment window. Her stomach dropped. These weren't recent. Some were dated months ago, before the supposed marriage. He'd been watching her, studying her. Why? I told you not to wander. She spun. Adrian stood in the doorway, still dressed despite the hour. His expression was unreadable. You've been stalking me. I've been observing my investment. He crossed the room, plucked the folder from her hands. Your mother approached my people 6 months ago. Before I agreed to her terms, I needed to know who I was acquiring. I'm not property. You're an asset. There's a difference. He filed the folder away, locked the drawer. Go to bed, Lena. Why me? The question burst out before she could stop it. You're rich. You could marry anyone. Why go through this whole insane charade? He turned to face her fully, and for the first time she saw something crack in his armor. Just for a second. Because everyone else wants something. Money, power, status. Your mother wanted her daughter to live. That's a currency, I understand. So I'm just... what? A business transaction? You're exactly that. He moved closer, and she forced herself not to back away. I don't do love, Lena. I don't do romance, or happily ever after. I do contracts and agreements and mutually beneficial arrangements. You give me the appearance of normalcy. I give your mother a chance to survive. Everyone wins. Except me. You're alive. Your mother's alive. That's more than you had 3 weeks ago. His eyes held hers, cold and analytical. Now go to bed. You look like you're about to collapse. She wanted to argue, wanted to scream, but he was right. Exhaustion was crashing over her in waves. She'd been running on fumes for so long, and now that the adrenaline was fading, there was nothing left. She made it back to her room on muscle memory alone, fell into bed fully clothed. And despite everything, the fear, the anger, the sheer wrongness of it all, she slept. A phone ringing dragged her awake. Sunlight streamed through windows she'd forgotten to cover. The phone kept screaming. She fumbled for it. Unknown number. Again. Hello? Mrs. Voss, this is Dr. Patterson. I wanted to update you on your mother's treatment. Mrs. Voss. The name felt like a slap. She's doing remarkably well. The first round went smoothly, and her vitals are strong. If this continues, we might see significant improvement within weeks. Lena sat up, scrubbing her face. That's good. Thank you. Mr. Voss mentioned you'd want daily updates. I'll call same time tomorrow. After she hung up, Lena just sat there. Outside her window, the city sprawled in all directions. Millions of people living normal lives, none of them trapped in a penthouse with a man who'd bought them like furniture. Maria knocked softly. Breakfast is ready, Mrs. Voss. Please stop calling me that. It's your name now. No, it's what he calls me. You can use Lena. Maria's expression softened. Breakfast is ready, Lena. The dining room felt even bigger in daylight. Adrian sat at the head of the table, reading something on a tablet, coffee steaming beside him. He didn't look up when she entered. There's a brunch this Saturday, he said, still focused on his screen. Mayor's wife is hosting. We need to attend. I don't have anything to wear to a mayor's brunch. The closet in your room has everything you need. Maria will help you choose something appropriate. He finally looked at her. You'll smile. You'll be charming. You'll play the role. And if I don't? Then your mother's next treatment gets delayed. Accidentally, of course. Hospital mix-ups happen all the time. He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. Do we have an understanding? Lena's hands clenched under the table. Yes. Good. He returned to his tablet. I have meetings all day. Maria will show you how things work around here. Ask her anything. He left without another word. Maria appeared with fresh coffee. He's not as terrible as he seems. Really? Because from where I'm sitting, he seems pretty terrible. The older woman smiled sadly. Mr. Voss is complicated. He doesn't know how to be anything except what his father made him. And what's that? Ruthless. Maria poured the coffee. But ruthless isn't the same as cruel. He'll keep his word about your mother. Whatever else he is, he honors his contracts. Lucky me. Well, the rest of the week passed in a surreal blur. Lena learned the rules of her new prison. Don't touch Adrian's things. Don't ask about his business. Don't leave the building without security. Don't. She also learned the schedule. Adrian left early, 6 a.m., sometimes earlier. Returned late, usually after she'd gone to bed. On the rare occasions they crossed paths, he barely acknowledged her, like she was part of the furniture, which should have been a relief. Instead, it made her angrier. Friday night, she broke the rule about leaving, slipped past security while they were changing shifts, made it 3 blocks before a car pulled up beside her. The driver who'd first collected her stepped out. Mrs. Voss, Mr. Voss is expecting you for dinner. I'm taking a walk. Mr. Voss is expecting you for dinner, he repeated, like she hadn't spoken. They drove back in silence. Adrian was waiting in the penthouse, jacket off, tie loosened. He looked almost human. That was stupid, he said. I needed air. Then go to the terrace. Don't wander the streets like you don't have enemies now. He poured himself a drink, didn't offer her one. You're married to me, Lena. That means you're a target. Every business rival I have, every criminal who wants leverage, they all just found their weak spot. I'm not weak. You're mortal. That's weakness enough. He downed the drink in one swallow. The brunch is tomorrow. Maria laid out your dress. We leave at 11. And if I refuse? He set the glass down with careful precision. Then I'll carry you to the car myself. Your choice. She believed him. Match. The dress was cream-colored silk, designer label she recognized from magazines. It fit perfectly, which meant he'd had her measurements, which meant more watching, more studying. She tried not to think about it. Maria did her hair, her makeup, transformed her into someone who belonged on Adrian Voss's arm, someone sophisticated and polished, and completely fake. Adrian was waiting by the elevator, wearing a suit that probably cost more than a car. His eyes swept over her, clinical and assessing. You'll do. Your compliments really make me feel special. Something almost like amusement flickered across his face. Let's go. The brunch was at an estate that made Voss Tower look modest. Hedge mazes, marble fountains, staff in actual white gloves. Lena felt like she'd stumbled into a period drama. Adrian's hand settled on her lower back as they entered. Light touch, possessive enough to be clear. Smile, he murmured. She did, hating how natural it felt. The mayor's wife descended on them immediately. Blonde, beautiful, the kind of woman who'd never worried about money. Adrian! And this must be your bride. We were all so surprised to hear you'd married. You've been quite secretive. I value privacy, Catherine. Of course, of course. And who is this lovely creature? Catherine's smile was all teeth. Lena Carter, she said, before remembering. Voss. Lena Voss. How charming. And where did you two meet? Adrian's hand pressed slightly harder against her back. Warning. Through mutual friends, Lena improvised. It was very... She searched for a word that wouldn't choke her. Unexpected. The best romances always are. Catherine linked her arm through Lena's. Come, let me introduce you around. Adrian, you don't mind if I steal her? Not at all. Lena shot him a look. Help me, but he just nodded, releasing her to the wolves. The next hour was a masterclass in passive aggression. The women smiled and asked innocent questions that were really weapons. Where was she from? Nowhere important. What did she do? Nothing impressive. How did she land Adrian Voss? By having a dying mother and no options. She survived by lying through her teeth and drinking too much champagne. When she finally escaped to the bathroom, she locked herself in a stall and focused on breathing. This was her life now. Playing pretend for people who saw right through her. Did you see her dress? A voice outside the stall. 2 women, touching up makeup. Off the rack, I'm sure. Adrian must be slumming. I heard she's nobody. Like, actually nobody. Some waitress or nurse or something. Well, it won't last. Adrian Voss doesn't do love. This is obviously some kind of arrangement. They left, laughing. Lena stared at the bathroom tile and wondered how much prison time she'd get for drowning someone in a champagne fountain. When she emerged, Adrian was waiting in the hallway. He took one look at her face and frowned. What happened? Nothing. Your friends are delightful. His jaw tightened. Who? Doesn't matter. She brushed past him. Can we leave? Not yet. We haven't. I need to leave. Now. Her voice cracked on the last word. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded once. Wait here. He returned 5 minutes later. Done. Let's go. They didn't speak in the car. Lena pressed her forehead against the window and watched the city blur past. When they pulled up to Voss Tower, she was out before the driver could open her door. Adrian caught her arm. Lena, don't. Tell me what they said. Why? So you can defend my honor? She laughed bitterly. We both know this isn't real. They know it too. At least they're honest about it. His grip tightened. This is real. The marriage certificate is real. The contract is real. You are my wife. On paper, that's all. That's everything. He pulled her closer, and she caught that cedar scent again. You think I don't know what they're saying? That I bought you? That you're just another acquisition? His eyes burned. Let them talk. You're still the one wearing my ring. She looked down. There was a ring, platinum band with a single diamond. She hadn't even noticed when it appeared. This doesn't mean anything, she whispered. It means you're protected. It means anyone who wants to hurt me has to go through you first. His thumb brushed over her knuckles. And I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. Keep telling yourself that. He released her hand. Go inside. I have work. She did. Because she always did what he said. Because the alternative was losing her mother, and they both knew she'd never make that choice. But as she rode the elevator up to her gilded cage, Lena made herself a promise. She'd find a way out. Maybe not today, maybe not this month, but eventually, she had to. The weeks that followed the mayor's brunch settled into a rhythm that felt less like living and more like existing in suspended animation. Lena learned to navigate the penthouse's unspoken rules, the careful dance of avoiding Adrian while still fulfilling whatever obligations he deemed necessary. Charity events, business dinners, appearances at galleries where the art cost more than medical degrees and tasted like money laundering. She smiled. She wore the dresses. She played the part. And every night, she went to bed alone in a room that smelled like expensive nothing, staring at the ceiling and counting the ways her life had become unrecognizable. Her mother's health improved steadily. Dr. Patterson called every morning with updates that sounded increasingly optimistic. Tumor markers dropping, appetite returning, color in her cheeks. Each piece of good news was a chain around Lena's ankle, binding her tighter to the deal she'd never agreed to make. You should visit her, Maria said one morning, setting down breakfast. It's been 3 weeks. I know. She asks about you, wants to know why you're always too busy. Lena pushed eggs around her plate. Tell her I'm working. You could tell her yourself. But she couldn't, because facing her mother meant lying about everything. The marriage, the penthouse, the man who'd bought her, like produce. And Lena had already swallowed enough lies to choke on. Adrian continued to be a ghost. She'd hear him leave early, return late. Sometimes she'd find evidence of his presence, a coffee cup in the sink, papers left on the dining table, the faint smell of cedar lingering in hallways. But actual conversation? That had dried up after the brunch, like he'd fulfilled his quota of human interaction and retreated into whatever cold space he normally inhabited. Which was fine. Great, even. The less she saw him, the easier it was to pretend this wasn't happening. Except it was happening. Every morning, she woke up in his penthouse. Every evening, she ate dinner at his table. And every time she looked at her left hand, that platinum band caught the light and reminded her exactly whose property she'd become. On a Tuesday that felt like every other Tuesday, Lena made a mistake. She went to her old apartment. Security had strict orders. She didn't leave without clearance. But the building supervisor was new, didn't recognize her, and Lena had always been good at slipping past people who weren't paying attention. She made it out the lobby, caught a bus, Rode it to her old neighborhood where buildings didn't scrape clouds and people actually made eye contact. Her apartment was exactly as she'd left it. Landlord hadn't re-rented it yet. She still had her key. Inside smelled like her old life. Coffee and cheap laundry detergent and that specific mustiness of a place that needed better ventilation. She stood in the doorway and felt something crack in her chest. This was real. The penthouse, the dresses, the marriage certificate, those were the fantasy. This tiny studio with its leaking faucet and broken blinds, this was who she actually was. She sat on the floor and let herself cry for the first time since this started. Her phone rang. Adrian. She almost didn't answer, but habit or fear made her thumb hit the green button. Where are you? Not a question, a demand. Out! I can see that. My security team is tearing apart downtown looking for you. Call them off. Lena. His voice dropped to something dangerous. Tell me where you are, now. Why? So you can send your driver to collect your property? Silence. Then, give me the address. No. Give me the address or I'm tracking your phone. What? She laughed, hollow and broken. Of course you can track my phone. Why am I not surprised? The address, Lena. She rattled it off because fighting seemed exhausting. 20 minutes later, someone knocked. She opened the door expecting the driver. Got Adrian instead. He looked wrong here. Too expensive, too polished, like a magazine cutout pasted into real life. He took in the apartment with one sweep. The futon that doubled as a couch, the kitchenette with 2 burners, the bathroom door that didn't quite close. This is where you lived. Hard to believe, right? Not everyone grows up in penthouses. He stepped inside, closed the door. Why did you come here? Because it's mine. Because it's real. She gestured at the cramped space. This is who I am, Adrian. Not the dresses, not the galas. This. You don't live here anymore. I know. You made sure of that. He moved closer, and in the small space they were suddenly too near each other. She could see the muscle ticking in his jaw, the way his hands flexed like he wanted to grab something and couldn't. You think I don't know what I took from you? His voice was quiet, almost gentle. Wrong. You think I don't see you flinching every time someone calls you Mrs. Voss? Then why do it? Because I needed a wife, and you needed your mother to live. He reached out, touched her face. She jerked back. Don't pretend there was another option. There's always another option. Not in my world. His hand dropped. Get your things, whatever you want from here. We're leaving. I'm not ready. I don't care. She wanted to fight, wanted to scream that he couldn't just order her around like an employee. But the truth was he could, and they both knew it. She grabbed a few things, photos, books, a sweater her mother had knitted, stuffed them in a bag while Adrian watched with that unreadable expression he wore like armor. The drive back was silent until they hit downtown. The mayor's wife called, he said, eyes on the road. Wants to know if we're attending the summer gala. Are we? Yes. Then why ask? I wasn't asking. He glanced at her. But I wanted to warn you, it'll be worse than the brunch. More people, more questions. More women like Catherine who'll smile while they tear you apart. Looking forward to it. Lena, what do you want me to say, Adrian? That I'm grateful, that I'm happy playing dress-up in your world? I want you to understand that this doesn't end. There's no exit strategy, no escape clause. You're my wife, that's not changing. Something in his tone made her look at him, really look. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel, jaw so tight she could see the muscle jumping. Why does it matter to you? She asked. You said this was business, just a contract. It is. Then why do you look like you're trying to convince yourself? He pulled into the underground garage, killed the engine, sat there for a long moment. My father had 3 wives, he said finally, each one more expensive than the last. He collected them like watches, showed them off, got bored, moved on. I swore I'd never be like him. Great job with that. His laugh was bitter. Yeah, real successful. He turned to face her. But I'm not my father. I don't discard things. When I commit to something, anything, I see it through. Even if it's destroying someone? Even then. The honesty was almost worse than the lies. They rode the elevator in silence. When the doors opened, Maria was waiting with that concerned expression she wore like a uniform. Dr. Patterson called. Your mother's treatment, is she okay? Lena's heart stopped. She's fine, more than fine. He wants to schedule additional tests, says the results are exceeding expectations. The relief was so intense Lena had to lean against the wall. Adrian's hand caught her elbow, steadying her. You should visit her, he said. I can't. Why not? Because seeing her mother meant maintaining the lie. Because Lena wasn't sure she could look the woman who'd sold her and still pretend everything was fine. I'm tired, she said instead. I need to sleep. She retreated to her room before anyone could argue, fell onto the bed and stared at the ceiling until her eyes burned. This was her life now. No going back, no waking up. Just forward, one carefully controlled step at a time. The summer gala was 3 weeks away. Maria started preparing Lena like she was heading into combat. Dress fittings, etiquette coaching, background research on every important person who'd be there. Adrian's world operated on information, knowing who'd slept with whom, who owed money, who'd recently lost a business deal. It was exhausting. You need to eat more, Maria said, eyeing Lena during one fitting. The dress is already taken in twice. I'm eating. You're picking at food. There's a difference. Lena looked at her reflection. The woman staring back was someone else. Polished, elegant, hollow, like an expensive vase with nothing inside. What was Adrian's father like? She asked suddenly. Maria's hand stilled. Why do you ask? Adrian mentioned him, said he had 3 wives. 4, actually. The last one left before the divorce was finalized. Maria adjusted the dress hem. Gregory Voss was not a kind man. Built his empire on fear and violence. Adrian grew up watching that, learning from it. So he's just following the family business? No. Maria met her eyes in the mirror. Adrian rebuilt everything after his father died. Changed how things operated. He's ruthless, but he's not cruel. There's a difference. Feels the same from where I'm standing. Does it? Maria's expression was sad. Has he hurt you? Threatened you directly? Or has he simply given you no good choices? Lena didn't answer because the truth was complicated. Adrian hadn't touched her beyond those formal, public moments, hadn't raised his voice, hadn't done anything except trap her with her own love for her mother, which was somehow worse. The night before the gala, Adrian summoned her to his office. She'd avoided that room since the night she'd found the photos. But his message made it clear this wasn't optional. The office was exactly as she remembered, minimalist, expensive, designed to intimidate. Adrian sat behind a desk that could have doubled as a landing strip, focused on his laptop. Sit. She sat. He closed the laptop, gave her his full attention. Tomorrow will be difficult, more so than the brunch. You keep saying that, because it's true. My world isn't kind to outsiders, and they all know you're an outsider. He pulled out a folder. I've compiled information on everyone who matters. Study it tonight. You want me to memorize people? I want you to survive. He slid the folder across the desk. Marcus Chen, real estate developer, recently divorced, likes to drink too much and talk about his ex-wife. Avoid him. Patricia Lawson owns half the city's art galleries, hates her sister who will also be there. Don't mention family. James and Susan Rodriguez, power couple, been married 30 years, actually decent people. Stay close to them if you can. Lena stared at the folder. You're serious. I don't do humor. I noticed. She opened it. Inside were photos, bios, notes written in Adrian's precise handwriting. This is insane. This is survival. He stood, came around the desk. I told you before, you're a target now. Every person in that room will be calculating your worth, looking for weaknesses. You need to be ready. I didn't ask for this. And yet here we are. He leaned against the desk. I can teach you how to navigate this, if you let me. Why would you do that? Because you're my wife, and I protect what's mine. That phrase again. She was starting to hate it. What if I fail? She asked. What if I embarrass you? Then we leave early and try again next time. His expression softened almost imperceptibly. I'm not expecting perfection, Lena. Just effort. It was possibly the kindest thing he'd ever said to her, which was depressing. She took the folder and spent the rest of the night memorizing faces and names and secrets. Fell asleep at 3 a.m. with her head on the papers. When she woke, someone had covered her with a blanket. The papers were neatly stacked. A note in Adrian's handwriting, "You'll do fine." The gala was held at the Riverside Hotel, old money, crystal chandeliers, the kind of place where appetizers cost more than groceries. Lena's dress was deep emerald, backless, designed to make a statement. Maria had outdone herself with the makeup, hair. Lena looked like she belonged. She felt like a fraud. Adrian was waiting by the car, devastating in a tuxedo. He did a double take when he saw her. "You look..." He stopped, started again. "Good. You look good." "Thanks, you too." The moment was awkward in a way that felt almost human. The hotel ballroom was packed with people dripping wealth and judgment. Lena recognized faces from her folder. Marcus Chen already holding a drink, Patricia Lawson surveying the room like a general, James and Susan Rodriguez near the bar, laughing at something. Adrian's hand found her back. "Ready?" "No." "Good. Neither am I." He guided her inside. "Let's get this over with." The first hour was a blur of introductions and careful small talk. Lena deployed information from the folder, watched Adrian's cues, tried not to trip in heels that were clearly designed by someone who hated feet. People were polite to her face and probably vicious behind her back, but she survived. Then she met Victoria. The woman appeared like a storm front, blonde, beautiful, wearing a dress that cost more than Lena's old car. She touched Adrian's arm with the kind of familiarity that made Lena's stomach clench. "Adrian, it's been too long." "Victoria." His tone was carefully neutral. "This is my wife, Lena." Victoria's smile was all edges. "Yes, I've heard so much. The mysterious bride." Her eyes raked over Lena, cataloging and dismissing. "How charming." "Nice to meet you," Lena managed. "I'm sure." Victoria kept her attention on Adrian. "We should catch up. I have a proposal you'd find interesting." "I'm busy." "You're always busy, but this is worth your time." She leaned closer, lowered her voice. "It's about the waterfront project. Unless you want Marcus to steal it out from under you." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Fine, 5 minutes." "I'll wait here," Lena said, because she wasn't stupid enough to follow. Adrian looked like he wanted to argue, but Victoria was already pulling him toward the balcony. Lena watched them go and tried not to imagine what they were discussing, or what they'd been to each other before. "Whiskey?" She turned. James Rodriguez stood beside her, holding 2 glasses. "I don't drink whiskey." Neither does my wife. But she's stuck talking to the mayor's wife about charity work. Figured we could both use reinforcements." He handed her a glass. "You're holding up well." "Am I?" "Better than Adrian's last girlfriend. She cried in the bathroom within an hour." "There was a girlfriend?" "Several. None of them lasted. Victoria out there, they dated for almost a year. Longest relationship he ever had." Lena sipped the whiskey to avoid responding. "It burned." "He's different with you," James continued. "Protective. Adrian doesn't usually do protective." "We're married. It's his job." "Is it?" James studied her. "Or is there something else going on?" "I don't know what you mean." "Sure you don't." He smiled. "Word of advice? Adrian's not good at feelings. Never has been. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have them. Just means he buries them until they turn into something else." Before Lena could ask what that meant, Susan appeared, grabbing her husband's arm. "Stop interrogating the poor girl. Adrian will have your head." She smiled at Lena. "Ignore him. He thinks he's insightful." "I am insightful. You're nosy. There's a difference." They bickered with the ease of people who'd been doing it for decades. Lena felt a pang of something that might have been envy. Adrian reappeared 20 minutes later, expression stormy. Victoria followed, looking satisfied with herself. "We're leaving," he said, "but we just... now." His tone left no room for argument. They made their excuses and left, Adrian's hand firm on her back the entire way. In the car, silence stretched like broken glass. "What did she say to you?" Lena finally asked. "Nothing important. You don't look like it was nothing." He turned to face her. "Victoria and I have history. She thought marriage would make me forget that. She was wrong." "Did you love her?" The question hung there. Adrian's expression was unreadable. "No," he said finally. "I've never loved anyone." Somehow, Lena believed him, and it made everything worse. Back at the penthouse, she kicked off the heels and felt her feet scream in relief. Adrian disappeared into his office without another word. Lena stood in the living room, still wearing the emerald dress, and wondered what the hell she was doing. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You looked beautiful tonight. Pity you're wasted on Adrian." Ice flooded her veins. She deleted it immediately, but the damage was done. Someone was watching. Someone knew exactly how to make her feel unsafe. She found Adrian in his office, tie undone, glass of something amber in his hand. "Someone texted me." He looked up sharply. "Show me." She did. Watched his expression go from neutral to lethal in seconds. "This number," he was already typing on his laptop. "It's routed through several proxies. Whoever sent it knows what they're doing." "What does that mean?" "It means someone's testing boundaries, seeing how you react." He set down his glass. "From now on, you don't go anywhere alone. Not even the lobby." "Adrian, I'm serious, Lena. You're a target now. That text is proof." She sank into a chair, suddenly exhausted. "This is insane. All of it." "I know." He crouched in front of her, eye level. "But we're in it now, both of us." "I didn't ask for this." "Neither did I." His hand covered hers. "But I'll keep you safe. I promise." It was the first time he'd touched her without calculation. His hand was warm, solid, real. She pulled away. "Don't make promises you can't keep." "I don't." The following week passed in heightened tension. Adrian increased security. Lena wasn't allowed to leave without 2 guards. Her phone was replaced with one that couldn't be tracked. The penthouse started to feel less like a prison and more like a fortress under siege. And through it all, her mother kept improving. Dr. Patterson's calls became increasingly optimistic. Remission was no longer a distant hope. It was a real possibility. Which meant Lena's deal with the devil was working. She finally visited her mother on a Saturday. Adrian insisted on coming, which meant the whole thing was a production. Driver, security, the works. "You don't have to come in," Lena said as they pulled up to the hospital. "I'm coming in." "She doesn't know about us. About the marriage." "Then today she finds out." Lena's stomach dropped. "Adrian, no, please." "She should know the truth." His expression was firm. "I'm not asking, Lena." Her mother was in a private room on the 4th floor reading a magazine and looking healthier than Lena had seen her in years. Color in her cheeks, hair growing back, smile genuine. "Sweetheart," she set down the magazine, "and you must be Mr. Voss. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done." "Actually, Mom," Lena's voice cracked, "there's something we need to tell you." 20 minutes later, her mother sat in stunned silence. Lena had explained everything. The contract, the marriage, the deal. Watched her mother's face cycle through shock, horror, and finally resignation. "I'm sorry," her mother whispered. "I thought I was saving you." "You were saving yourself," Lena said, harsher than intended. "I was dying, and you were exhausting yourself trying to keep me alive." Tears streamed down her mother's face. "I thought if you married someone wealthy, someone powerful, you thought you could sell me and call it love." "Lena," Adrian's voice was sharp, "that's enough. Stay out of this." "I can't, because whether you like it or not, I'm part of it now." He turned to Lena's mother. "Mrs. Carter, the deal was made. The contract is binding. Fighting about it won't change anything." "Then what do we do?" Lena's mother looked between them. "How do we fix this?" "We don't," Adrian said. "We live with it." The drive home was silent. Lena stared out the window and felt something inside her crack wider. "Your mother loves you," Adrian said quietly. "She sold me." "She was desperate. There's a difference." "Stop defending her." "I'm not. I'm just saying, desperation makes people do terrible things. Trust me, I know." He pulled into the garage. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About all of it." It was possibly the most honest thing he'd ever said. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., she gave up and wandered to the kitchen. Found Adrian already there, drinking coffee and reviewing papers. "You should be sleeping," he said without looking up. "So should you." "I don't sleep much." She poured herself coffee, sat at the counter. They existed in silence for a while. "Why do you do this?" she asked finally. "The business, the deals, all of it. What's the point?" He set down his pen. "My father built an empire on fear. When he died, I had a choice: let it crumble or reshape it into something different. And you chose violence. I chose control." He met her eyes. "Everything I do, every decision I make, it's about maintaining control. Because the moment you lose it, the moment you show weakness, you're finished." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." He smiled slightly. "But it keeps people alive, keeps businesses running, keeps order in a city that would tear itself apart without it. And me? Where do I fit in this grand plan? You're the one thing I didn't plan for." His expression turned serious. "I thought marriage would be easy, a contract, nothing more, but you—" He stopped. "You complicate things." "Good." "Is it?" He stood, moved closer. "Because complications get people killed, Lena, and I can't—" His jaw worked. "I won't let that happen to you." They were close now, too close. She could see the flecks of gold in his gray eyes, the way his throat worked when he swallowed. "You're afraid," she realized. "I'm careful." "No, you're afraid. Of what? I don't know, but it's there." His hand came up, touched her face, gentle in a way that made her chest hurt. "I'm afraid of this," he said quietly. "Whatever this is between us. Because I don't do feelings, Lena. I don't do connection, and you make me want things I can't afford to want." Her breath caught. "Adrian!" The moment shattered. He stepped back, expression shuddering. "Go to bed. You look exhausted." "So do you." "I'm always exhausted." He returned to his papers, dismissing her. "Good night, Lena." She left before she could do something stupid, like ask him to elaborate, like admit that maybe, possibly, she felt it too. Whatever it was. The next morning, Lena woke up feeling wrong, off somehow, nauseous and dizzy and wrong. She made it to the bathroom just in time to throw up. Maria found her there 15 minutes later, pale and shaking. "How long has this been happening?" Maria asked, helping her up. "First time." "Are you sure?" Lena thought back. The exhaustion, the way smells had been bothering her, the weird cravings. "Oh no. I'm calling a doctor." "Maria, no, it's just stress." But Maria was already on the phone. And 3 hours later, Lena found herself in an exam room with a doctor who looked too young to have graduated medical school. The test took 5 minutes. The results changed everything. "Congratulations, Mrs. Voss. You're about 6 weeks pregnant." The world tilted. Lena gripped the exam table and tried to breathe. "That's impossible. We never—" Except they had. Once. The wedding night she didn't remember. The night they drugged her to make her compliant. "The blood test is conclusive. You're definitely pregnant." Maria held her hand as they drove home. Lena stared out the window and watched her life rearrange itself into something unrecognizable. She was pregnant with Adrian Voss's child, the man she barely knew. The man who'd bought her like property. The man who'd looked at her last night like she was something precious. She had to tell him. Had to see his reaction, had to figure out what the hell happened next. Because nothing about this was part of the contract. Nothing about this was planned. And suddenly, escape wasn't just about her anymore. Adrian came home at 6, which was early for him. Lena heard the elevator, his footsteps crossing the living room, the sound of his briefcase hitting the desk in his office. Normal sounds. Routine. Like the ground beneath her feet wasn't actively crumbling. She sat on the couch, still wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at the test results the doctor had printed out. Black and white. Clinical. Undeniable. Maria had made tea nobody was drinking. The cup sat cold on the coffee table, mocking her with its uselessness. "You need to tell him," Maria said quietly from the doorway. "I know." "Tonight, before you lose your nerve." "I already lost my nerve. I'm running on fumes and panic." Maria's hand squeezed her shoulder. "He'll handle it better than you think. Or he'll think I planned this, that I'm trying to trap him or something. You didn't even remember your wedding night. How could you have planned anything?" "Fair point. Didn't make it easier." Adrian appeared in the living room, loosening his tie. He stopped when he saw her face. What's wrong? Not a question. He could read disaster on people like some folks read newspapers. We need to talk. His expression shifted, became that controlled, careful thing he wore when negotiations were about to go sideways. All right. He sat across from her, not next to her, creating distance, like he already knew this was bad and was bracing for impact. Lena's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against her thighs. I went to the doctor today. Are you sick? No, not sick. She forced the words out before they could stick. I'm pregnant. Silence. Complete and absolute. Adrian's face went blank. Not shocked, not angry, just empty, like someone had hit pause on him. How far along, he finally said. 6 weeks. She watched him do the math, saw the exact moment it clicked. The wedding night. Apparently, more silence. Adrian walked to the window, stood there with his back to her. His shoulders were rigid, hands shoved in his pockets. Say something, Lena whispered. I don't know what to say. Anything. Yell at me. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me. I'm not going to yell at you. He turned around and his expression was still that careful blank. This is my fault. I was there that night. I knew you weren't. He stopped. I knew the risks. So what do we do? What do you want to do? The question caught her off guard. You're asking me? It's your body, your choice. She stared at him. This was Adrian Voss, the man who controlled everything, who made decisions like breathing, and he was handing her power like it cost him nothing, except it did. She could see it in the tension around his eyes, the way his jaw kept working. I don't know, she admitted. I wasn't planning. I never thought. Take your time. We don't have time. I'm already 6 weeks. I need to decide. You need to breathe. He crossed the room, crouched in front of her. His hands covered hers, warm and solid. Whatever you decide, I'll support it. Financially, logistically, whatever you need. And if I keep it? His throat worked. Then you keep it. Just like that? Just like that. She searched his face for the lie, the calculation, found nothing but exhaustion and something that might have been fear. I need time, she said. Take all the time you need. He stood, started to leave. She caught his wrist. Adrian, are you... She didn't know how to finish. Are you okay? Are you angry? Are you secretly planning to make this disappear? I'm processing, he said. Give me a minute. He disappeared into his office. The door closed with a soft click. Lena sat there until her legs went numb, holding test results that felt like a bomb with a timer nobody could see. She didn't see Adrian for 2 days. He left before she woke, came home after she slept. Avoiding her or just buried in work, she couldn't tell. Maria reported he wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping, was basically subsisting on coffee and whatever demons he was wrestling. On the 3rd day, Lena cornered him in the kitchen at midnight. He was making coffee, moving like a man running on fumes. We need to talk about this. I know. So talk. He set down the coffee pot, turned to face her. He looked terrible, shadows under his eyes, hair uncombed, shirt wrinkled, human in a way she'd never seen him. I had my people do research, he said. Options, timelines, medical considerations. Everything's compiled if you want to. Stop managing this. I'm not... You are. You're treating this like a business problem. She moved closer. This is a person, Adrian. A potential person, not a spreadsheet. I know what it is. His voice cracked slightly. I know exactly what it is. Then why are you avoiding me? He laughed, hollow. Because I don't know how to do this, any of this. I don't know how to be, he gestured vaguely, whatever I'm supposed to be in this situation. A husband would be a start. I don't know how to be that either. My father had 4 wives and hated all of them. My mother died when I was 8. I have exactly 0 blueprint for functional relationships. So we're both clueless. Great foundation for parenthood. You're saying you're keeping it. She realized she'd decided somewhere between the kitchen and this moment. Yeah, I am. Adrian sat down heavily in a chair, dropped his head into his hands. His shoulders shook just once before he got control again. Okay, he said, voice rough. Okay, We're doing this. You don't sound thrilled. I'm terrified. He looked up at her. I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to be safe. Everything I touch either breaks or bleeds. Dramatic much? I'm serious, Lena. My world, the things I do, the people I deal with, it's not safe for a child. Then make it safe. It's not that simple. Sure it is. You restructure. You step back. You stop doing whatever illegal garbage you're doing. She crossed her arms. You said you protect what's yours. Well, congratulations. You just got a lot more to protect. He stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You want me to restructure my entire operation? I want you to be a father. If that means restructuring, restructure. You don't know what you're asking. I know exactly what I'm asking. I'm asking you to choose us over whatever empire you're building, just this once. The silence stretched. Adrian's expression cycled through about 12 different emotions before settling on something resigned. I'll make calls, he said finally. Start shifting things. It'll take time. We've got 7.5 months. That's not much time. Then you'd better work fast. He stood, moved toward her, hesitated. Then his hand settled on her stomach, barely touching. She could feel him shaking. Hi, he whispered to her abdomen. I'm your... He stopped. I'm going to figure this out, I promise. Lena's throat closed up. She covered his hand with hers. We'll figure it out, together. Together, he repeated, like testing foreign words. Okay. The next few weeks were chaos in slow motion. Adrian threw himself into restructuring like a man possessed. He was gone constantly. Meetings, negotiations, cleaning up whatever messes needed cleaning. Lena barely saw him, except in passing. But things started changing. She noticed security shift from aggressive to protective. The men who followed her around stopped looking like they'd kill people and started looking like they'd die protecting her. Subtle difference, huge implications. Her mother called 3 times a day with questions. Baby names, cribs, her opinions on cloth versus disposable diapers. Like the pregnancy erased everything else. The contract, the forced marriage, all of it. Selective memory or desperate hope, Lena couldn't tell. Dr. Patterson transitioned from oncologist to enthusiastic grandmother figure, calling with updates about both her mother's health and recommendations for obstetricians. And Lena's body started betraying her in new ways. Morning sickness that lasted all day. Exhaustion that made moving feel like swimming through concrete. Food aversion so strong she couldn't walk past the kitchen without gagging. Maria became a saint, managing symptoms and keeping Adrian updated when Lena was too tired to form sentences. At 10 weeks, Adrian insisted on coming to her first real OB appointment. Showed up in the exam room looking terrified and trying to hide it. You don't have to be here, Lena said from the table. Yes, I do. The Dr. Reeves, young and cheerful, entered with the ultrasound machine. Ready to see your baby? Lena's heart tried to escape through her ribs. Adrian's hand found hers, squeezed hard enough to hurt. The screen flickered to life, static and gray and meaningless until Dr. Reeves pointed. There. See that flutter? A tiny bean shape, barely visible, moving. That's the heartbeat, Dr. Reeves said. The sound filled the room, fast, strong, impossibly real. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't think. That was a person. A whole entire person growing inside her. She looked at Adrian. His eyes were locked on the screen, expression shattered. Tears tracked down his face openly. He didn't even bother wiping them. That's... His voice broke. That's our... Yeah, Lena whispered. That's our baby. His hand tightened on hers. Hi, baby. Hi, I'm... He swallowed hard. I'm your dad. Dr. Reeves smiled, giving them space. The heartbeat kept drumming, steady and sure. I'm going to screw this up, Adrian said quietly. I'm going to fail at this. Probably. Lena squeezed back. But we'll fail together. Together, he repeated, like a prayer. They drove home in silence. Adrian kept one hand on the wheel, the other on her stomach, like he couldn't stop touching proof that this was real. Inside the penthouse, he finally spoke. I need to show you something. He led her upstairs to a room she'd never been in, opened the door. Inside was a nursery, fully furnished, painted soft yellow, everything coordinated and perfect. Crib, changing table, rocking chair, shelves already loaded with books. When did you... Lena's voice died. I started 3 days after you told me. Worked on it whenever you were sleeping. He stood in the doorway looking uncertain. I know it's early, doctor. Reeves said people usually wait until the second trimester, but I needed... He stopped. I needed to do something, to make this real. Lena walked through the room, touching soft blankets and tiny clothes. Everything was thoughtful, careful. The room of someone who gave a damn. It's perfect, she managed. You hate it. I love it. She turned to face him. Adrian, you did this for us? For all of us. You, me, the baby. He moved closer. I know I'm not good at this. At feelings or family or any of it, but I'm trying, I'm really trying. I can see that. His hands cupped her face. Gentle. I'm going to protect you. Both of you. Whatever it takes. I know. And I'm going to love that kid. Even if I don't know how yet. You'll learn. What if I don't? What if I'm too much like my father? You're already nothing like him. He wouldn't have built this room. He wouldn't have cried at an ultrasound. He wouldn't give a damn. Adrian's forehead dropped to hers. I'm scared. Me too. They stood like that for a long time, two terrified people holding on to each other in a room built for hope. Then Adrian's phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. Answer it, Lena said. It can wait. Adrian, answer the phone. He did, expression darkening as he listened. When? Who knows? No, lock it down. I'm coming. He hung up. I have to go. What's wrong? Someone leaked information about the pregnancy. It's on 3 gossip sites already. His jaw was granite. I need to contain this before it spreads. How did they find out? We've been careful. Someone in the medical office, security, could be anyone. He was already moving. Stay here. Don't answer the door. Don't talk to anyone. Adrian, I mean it, Lena. If anyone finds out you're pregnant, you become a bigger target. Our baby becomes leverage. He grabbed his jacket. I'll fix this. Just stay safe. He left. The penthouse felt enormous and empty without him. Lena sat in the nursery rocking chair and tried not to imagine all the ways this could go wrong. The gossip sites were taken down within hours. Impressive and terrifying in equal measure. But the damage was done. People knew. Adrian's enemies knew. And knowledge was currency in his world. Security doubled overnight. Lena counted 4 guards outside the penthouse door, 6 more in the lobby. The elevator needed a keycard and biometric scan. They were living in a fortress. Adrian came home at 3 a.m. looking like he'd aged years. It's contained, for now. What does that mean? It means people know you're pregnant, but they don't know how far along or where you're getting medical care. I've moved your appointments to a private clinic with better security. You're scared. I'm being realistic. He sat beside her on the couch. Victoria called. Congratulated me. Said she'd love to meet the mother of my child. Victoria from the gala? She's fishing for information, trying to gauge how serious this is. And? I told her to go to hell. He rubbed his face. She's dangerous, Lena. She wants back into my life and you're in her way. What can she do? We're married. I'm pregnant. She can make trouble, turn public opinion. She has connections to media, politicians. If she decides you're a problem, then we deal with it. Lena took his hand. We're in this now, Adrian. All the way. I'm trying to protect you. I know, but you can't protect me from everything. Watch me try. 2 days later, Victoria made her move. An article appeared in the city's biggest newspaper. Thinly veiled criticism about Adrian's sudden marriage, questions about his wife's background, implications that the pregnancy was a trap. Nothing actionable, nothing she could be sued for. Just poison dressed in journalism. Lena read it over breakfast and felt sick. Ignore it, Adrian said, not looking up from his own phone. She's trying to get a reaction. It's working. Only if you let it. He set down his phone. I'm handling Victoria. You focus on staying healthy. I can't just sit here while she trashes me in print. Yes, you can, because engaging gives her power. He stood, kissed her forehead. Trust me. But trusting was hard when the articles kept coming. Different publications, same message. Lena Carter was nobody, an opportunist who'd trapped Adrian Voss with a pregnancy. People who'd never met her had opinions about her character. Strangers dissected her life online. Maria found her crying in the nursery 3 days later. This too shall pass. Easy for you to say. Is it? Maria sat beside her. I've worked for Adrian for 8 years. I've seen 3 women try to trap him, 2 blackmail attempts, and more gold diggers than I can count. You know what makes you different? I didn't ask for any of this. You're still here. Everyone else ran when things got hard. You stayed. Maria squeezed her hand. That means something. To who? To Adrian. He's never fought for anyone before, but he's fighting for you. Lena wanted to believe that. Wanted to think this was more than just contract obligations and duty. But wanting and believing were different countries. At 12 weeks, her body started showing. Small bump, easily hidden under loose clothes. But undeniable in the mirror. Proof written in flesh that this was happening. Adrian caught her staring at her reflection one morning. You're beautiful. I'm bloated and nauseous. You're growing our child. That's beautiful. She met his eyes in the mirror. You really mean that. Every word. He came closer, hand settling on her stomach. Can you feel anything yet? Just gas and heartburn? He laughed. Actually laughed. Glamorous. Right. Magazine covers and everything. They stood like that, his hands on her barely there bump, both pretending this was normal, that they were normal, that any of this made sense. I scheduled the next ultrasound, he said. Next Tuesday. They'll be able to see more detail. You don't have to come to every appointment. Yes, I do. Adrian, I missed 8 years of my mother's life because my father kept her away. I'm not missing a second of this. His voice was firm. I'm coming to every appointment, every milestone, everything. Something in her chest cracked open. Okay? Okay. The ultrasound was at a clinic so private it didn't have a sign. They went through a back entrance, past security that could have worked presidential detail. Dr. Reeves met them in a room that looked like a luxury hotel. Ready to see baby again? She asked cheerfully. The baby was bigger now, still tiny, but definitely human-shaped. Arms, legs, a head that seemed too large for the body. Everything looks perfect, Dr. Reeves said. Strong heartbeat, measuring right on track. She paused. Do you want to know the sex? Lena looked at Adrian. He looked at her. Do you want to know? She asked. Your choice. I asked you. And I'm saying... He stopped. Yes. I want to know. Me too. Dr. Reeves smiled. Congratulations. You're having a girl. A girl. Lena's eyes flooded. Adrian made a sound between a laugh and a sob. A daughter. A healthy daughter, Dr. Reeves confirmed. Would you like more pictures? They left with a dozen ultrasound photos and something that felt dangerously like joy. In the car, Adrian couldn't stop looking at the pictures. A girl. We're having a girl. You sound surprised. I don't know what I expected, but this is... He shook his head. She's going to hate me when she's a teenager. Probably. And she'll wrap me around her finger. Definitely. He laughed, and it sounded young, unguarded. I'm in so much trouble. We both are. They drove home through early evening traffic, already planning a future neither had imagined 6 months ago. The attack came 3 days later. Lena was in the kitchen with Maria, arguing about baby names, when the lights cut out. Total darkness. Then emergency lighting kicked in, red and harsh. Mrs. Voss, we need to move. One of the security guards appeared, hand on his weapon. Now. What's happening? Someone breached the building. Mr. Voss's orders. You go to the safe room. Maria grabbed her arm. Come on. The safe room was behind a false wall in Adrian's office. Steel reinforced, separate air supply, communication setup that could run a small war. Maria shoved her inside. Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone except Adrian or me. Where are you going? to make sure the breach is contained. Maria's expression was grim. Lock it behind me. The door sealed with a hydraulic hiss. Lena was alone in the dark with red emergency lights and terror clawing up her throat. She called Adrian. He answered on the first ring. Where are you? Safe room. What's happening? Someone cut power to the building, trying to flush you out. His voice was tight. Stay there. Do not open that door. Adrian, I'm scared. I know. I'm coming. 20 minutes. Sounds in the background, shouting, car doors. Just stay calm and stay quiet. Who's doing this? I have theories. None of them good. More noise. I have to go. I love you. He hung up before she could process what he'd said. I love you. First time. Ever. And she couldn't even respond because he was gone and she was locked in a box, wondering if she'd see him again. Time moved wrong in the safe room. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. She sat in the dark, hands on her stomach, whispering to her daughter that everything would be okay, praying she wasn't lying. Finally, sounds outside. The door handle rattled. Lena, it's me. Adrian's voice. Open up. She hit the release. The door swung open. Adrian stood there, shirt torn, blood on his knuckles. Behind him, 3 security guards and Maria. Are you hurt? He pulled her out, hands running over her like checking for brakes. I'm fine, you're bleeding. Not my blood. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her mouth. You're okay. Thank God you're okay. What happened? Someone hired muscle to break in. Professionals, not amateurs. They disabled the power, took out 2 guards. His jaw was granite. We got them. Got them how? Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Right. Because Adrian Voss didn't call the police when people invaded his home. He handled it himself. Was it Victoria? Lena asked. We're not sure yet, but whoever it was knows about the baby, knows you're vulnerable. He pulled her closer. We can't stay here, not tonight. Where are we going? Somewhere safer. I own a property outside the city. Security's better, isolated. He was already moving, gathering essentials. Pack light. We leave in 10 minutes. Adrian, this is insane. This is necessary. He cupped her face. I told you. I protect what's mine. Right now that means getting you somewhere they can't reach. They left the penthouse through a service elevator Lena hadn't known existed. 3 cars waited in the garage. Decoys. They took the middle one, Adrian driving himself. The property was an hour outside the city. More compound than house, surrounded by walls and cameras and men who looked like they ate nails for breakfast. Inside was surprisingly comfortable. Not the cold minimalism of the penthouse, but actual furniture that looked lived in. Warm colors. Normal things. You've been here before, Lena said. I grew up here, before my father moved us downtown. Adrian set down their bags. It's the one place he never controlled, my mother's space. And you kept it. I kept it. He moved to the window, looking out at darkness. After tonight, we're staying here until the baby's born. Maybe longer. That's 4 months. I don't care. You're not safe in the city. What about your business? I'll manage remotely. Everything I can't delegate, I'll handle from here. He turned to face her. You and our daughter are more important than any deal, any contract, any empire. Lena's throat closed up. You said you loved me. On the phone. His expression softened. I did. Did you mean it? Yes. Since when? I don't know. Somewhere between the wedding I forced you into and the moment I heard our daughter's heartbeat. He crossed to her. I'm not good at this, at feelings, but I know what I feel when I look at you, when I think about losing you. His hand settled on her stomach. I love you, both of you. More than I knew I could love anything. That's really unfair. Why? Because I'm supposed to hate you. Tears spilled over. You bought me, trapped me, turned my whole life into something I didn't choose. I know, but I don't hate you. She grabbed his shirt. I should, but I don't. Is that bad? It's terrifying. She kissed him, tasting salt and desperation. Don't make me regret this. I'll try not to. They held each other in his mother's house, two broken people building something neither had planned, while outside, security stood watch against threats that wouldn't stop coming just because they'd fallen in love. The house settled around them like an exhale. Lena woke the next morning disoriented, reaching for threats that weren't there. Sunlight streamed through windows that actually had curtains instead of automated blinds. Birds made noise outside. Normal, impossible noise. Adrian was already awake, sitting in a chair by the window watching her. He looked less polished than usual, hair messy, wearing an old t-shirt instead of $1,000 suits. Almost human. "How long have you been staring at me?" she asked. "Not long." "Liar." "Maybe an hour." He moved to the bed, sat on the edge. "You snore when you're pregnant." "I do not." "You absolutely do. It's cute." "Nothing about pregnancy is cute. I'm bloated and gassy and my feet are starting to swell." "Still cute." His hand found her stomach. "How's she doing?" "Currently using my bladder as a punching bag." He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was becoming less rare, more natural, like he was remembering how. "I need to make some calls this morning," he said. "Figure out who sent those men, but I'll be in the office downstairs if you need anything." "You have an office here?" "I have offices everywhere. Paranoia is excellent for real estate investment." He kissed her forehead. "Maria's making breakfast. Don't let her force feed you. She gets aggressive with nutrition." He left. Lena lay there for another minute, hand on her stomach, feeling tiny flutters that might have been movement or might have been wishful thinking. Her daughter. Their daughter. Still surreal. She found Maria in a kitchen that belonged in a cooking magazine. Massive island, professional appliances, windows overlooking gardens that actually had plants instead of architectural statements. "You're up," Maria said, flipping something that smelled incredible. "Hungry?" "Starving." "Good. You're eating for two now. Sit." Lena sat. Maria placed a plate in front of her. Eggs, toast, fruit arranged like artwork. "Too pretty to eat." "This is his mother's house," Maria said, pouring coffee. "He doesn't bring people here. Ever." "He told me." "Did he tell you why?" "His father didn't control this place." "It was more than that. This was the only place his mother could be herself. After she died, Adrian kept it exactly as she left it, down to the dishes in the cabinets." Lena looked around with new eyes, seeing the woman who'd lived here, loved here, died too young. What was she like? Kind. Too kind for Gregory Voss. She tried to protect Adrian from his father's world, but you can't protect children from their parents forever. Maria sat across from her. When she died, Adrian was 8. Gregory sent him to boarding school a week after the funeral. He didn't come back here until he inherited everything. That's awful. That's Gregory. He destroyed everything soft in his life, made sure his son learned to do the same. Maria's expression was sad. But Adrian isn't his father. He's trying not to be. I know. Do you? Because you look at him sometimes like you're waiting for him to turn into a monster. Lena didn't have an answer for that, because Maria was right. Part of her was always waiting, always braced for the moment Adrian's control slipped and his father's legacy bled through. "Give him a chance," Maria said quietly. "He's terrified of being like Gregory. That fear is what keeps him human." Adrian's office was in what used to be a study. Dark wood, leather furniture, walls lined with books that looked actually read. He sat behind a desk covered in laptops and papers, phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what it costs," he was saying. "Find them. Find who hired them. And Marcus, I want names by tonight." He saw her in the doorway, and his expression softened. Held up one finger. "Give me a minute." "No, I'm not coming back to the city. Handle it remotely or don't handle it at all." He paused. "Because my wife is pregnant and someone just tried to break into my home. That's why. Now do your job or I'll find someone who can." He hung up, scrubbed his face with both hands. "Bad news?" Lena asked. "Complicated news. The men who broke in were professionals, but someone paid cash, no paper trail." He leaned back in his chair. "Whoever's coming after us knows how to hide. Could it be Victoria? Could be. Could be business rivals. Could be someone I pissed off 5 years ago finally making a move." He gestured at the chair across from him. "Sit. We need to talk." That never preceded anything good. Lena sat. I'm liquidating some assets, he said, selling off the more dangerous parts of my operation. The waterfront properties, the offshore accounts, anything that could come back on us. Adrian, that's your empire. It's money. Money doesn't matter if we're dead. He leaned forward. I'm restructuring everything around safety, legitimate businesses, legal operations. It'll take months, but by the time our daughter's born, I want to be someone she's not ashamed of. She won't be. She will be if I keep doing what I'm doing. If she grows up and Googles my name and finds nothing but rumors and criminal connections. His voice was raw. I want to be better. For her. For you. Lena's throat closed up. That's a lot of pressure. It's the right pressure. He came around the desk, knelt in front of her chair. I spent 35 years becoming my father's son. I'm spending the rest of my life becoming someone else. She touched his face. He leaned into it like a starving man. We should get married again, she said. He blinked. We're already married. No, we have a contract. I want a marriage, a real one, with vows I actually remember making. You want to marry me again? Don't sound so shocked. I drugged you the first time, trapped you, bought you like furniture. I remember. I was there. She pulled him closer. But that's not who we are anymore. We're different now, so let's make it official. On our terms. He kissed her hard, desperate. Yes. Okay. Yes. You sure? It's a big commitment. I've never been more sure of anything. They planned it for 2 weeks out. Small ceremony, just them and Maria and a priest who didn't ask questions. No witnesses beyond security, no press, no gossip sites documenting Lena's dress or Adrian's expression. Just them, making a choice. Lena's mother wanted to come, but Dr. Patterson advised against travel. Her latest scans showed remission holding, but her immune system was still fragile. So they video called instead, Lena's mother crying through the screen while Lena tried on dresses. You look beautiful, her mother said. I look pregnant. You look happy. That's what matters. Was she happy? Lena examined the question. 6 months ago, she'd been running on empty, one paycheck from disaster. Now she was in a safe house outside the city, carrying a man's baby, planning a wedding that was technically a renewal of vows she didn't remember making. Happy felt like the wrong word, but something close to it, something warmer, less terrified. Yeah, she said. I think I am. Adrian threw himself into wedding planning with intensity usually reserved for hostile takeovers. He found a priest, arranged flowers, hired someone to make a cake. Argued with Maria about table settings like it mattered. It's just us, Lena pointed out. We don't need 12-place settings. We need it to be perfect. Why? Because the first time wasn't. I need to do this right. She understood that. The need to overwrite bad memories with better ones. To prove that endings could be rewritten if you worked hard enough. 2 days before the ceremony, Marcus called with news. Adrian took it in his office, door closed. Lena heard his voice rise, then fall, then go silent. When he emerged, his expression was stone. They found who hired the men. Who? My uncle. Gregory's brother. Adrian's hands were shaking. Richard Voss. He's been after the company since my father died. Thought if he could scare you away, I'd lose focus. Make mistakes. What are you going to do? Handle it. How? You don't want to know. Adrian, I say, I'm handling it. His voice was steel. He threatened you. Our daughter. There are consequences for that. He left that afternoon with 4 security guards. Came back 6 hours later looking exhausted. Is he dead? Lena asked. No. But he's leaving the country, permanently. And if he comes back... Adrian stopped. He won't come back. She should have been horrified. Should have demanded details, insisted on involvement. Instead, she just felt relieved. The threat was gone. They could breathe. Thank you, she said. You're thanking me for threatening my uncle? I'm thanking you for keeping us safe. He pulled her close, face buried in her hair. I'll always keep you safe. No matter what it costs. The wedding day dawned clear and warm. Maria woke Lena at 8 with coffee and panic. The flowers are wrong. The florist sent white roses instead of ivory. Adrian's having a breakdown. They're roses. Who cares what shade of white? Adrian cares, deeply. Maria was already texting someone. Get in the shower, I'll handle the flowers. The dress was simple, cream silk fitted through the bodice, flowing over her bump. Nothing like the designer nightmare from the gala. This was hers, chosen by her. Paid for with Adrian's money, but that was unavoidable. She did her own makeup. Let Maria handle her hair, stood in front of the mirror and barely recognized herself. 6 months. That's all it had taken to become someone new. Adrian waited in the garden. Actually waited this time, instead of ambushing her while drugged. He wore a dark suit, no tie, looking nervous in a way she'd never seen him. The priest was older, kind-eyed, the type who'd married hundreds of couples and stopped being surprised by anything. "Ready?" he asked. Adrian looked at Lena. "Are you?" "Yeah, I am." The ceremony was short. Simple vows about love and partnership and choosing each other. No mention of contracts or obligations or mothers who made desperate deals. Just two people promising to try. When the priest said they could kiss, Adrian pulled her close and whispered, "Hi, wife." "Hi, husband." The kiss was gentle. Different from their first kiss at a wedding neither remembered. This one mattered. Maria cried through the whole thing. Even the security guards looked misty. Afterward, they had lunch in the garden. Cake that was too sweet, champagne Lena couldn't drink, food that tasted like celebration. The sun was warm. The air smelled like flowers. Everything felt suspended in amber, perfect and temporary and precious. "I have something for you," Adrian said after they ate. He handed her a folder. She opened it cautiously. Inside were legal documents, pages and pages of them. She scanned the first page and her breath caught. "This is your freedom." Adrian's expression was serious. "The original contract your mother signed, I'm voiding it. You're not bound to me anymore, not by debt, not by obligation. If you want to leave, you can leave. Take half of everything I own. I'll support you and our daughter forever. But the choice is yours." Lena stared at the papers. Her signature line was blank, waiting. "You're letting me go. I'm giving you a choice, the one I took away." He took her hand. "I love you. I want you to stay, but I need to know you're choosing this, choosing us, not because you're trapped, but because you want to be here." Her hands shook. 6 months ago, this would have been an escape route, freedom in paper form, everything she'd wanted. Now it just felt like a test she didn't want to take. "What if I sign it?" she asked. "What if I walk away?" "Then I let you go, and I spend the rest of my life regretting every decision that brought us here." "And the baby?" "I'd still be her father. I'd still support both of you, but I wouldn't trap you into staying." His eyes held hers. "I'm not my father, Lena. I won't keep someone who doesn't want to be kept." She looked at the papers, at her blank signature line, at the man who'd bought her and was now setting her free. "You're an idiot," she said. "Probably." "I'm 7 months pregnant. Where would I even go?" "Anywhere you want." "And you just, what, let me leave after everything?" "After everything," he confirmed. She set down the papers, took his face in her hands. "I'm not leaving." "You're sure?" "I'm not signing those papers. I'm staying with you. By choice." She kissed him. "You're stuck with me now. Hope you're ready for that." His arms came around her, holding tight. "I'm ready." They spent the rest of the day doing nothing, sitting in the garden, talking about names and nursery colors and all the normal things people planning futures discuss. For a few hours, they weren't Adrian Voss and the wife he'd bought. They were just Adrian and Lena, expecting their first child, terrified and hopeful in equal measure. That night, Lena woke to Adrian talking in his sleep. Not nightmares exactly, more like anxious mumbling. She caught words like protect and safe and don't leave. She touched his shoulder. He jerked awake, disoriented. "You were dreaming," she said. "Sorry, did I wake you?" "You were talking about keeping us safe." He sat up, running hands through his hair. "I keep having the same dream. Someone takes you, our daughter. I can't find you. I search everywhere, but you're just gone." "We're right here." "I know, but my brain doesn't believe it yet." He looked at her in the darkness. "What if I can't protect you? What if someone gets through security, through all my precautions? Then we deal with it together." "You're not worried?" "I'm terrified. But worrying doesn't keep us safer. It just makes us miserable now. She took his hand, placed it on her stomach. Feel that? A tiny kick. Their daughter making her presence known. She's strong, Adrian whispered. She's a Voss. Of course she's strong. He leaned down, kissed Lena's stomach. Hi, baby girl. Your dad's a mess. Sorry about that. Another kick, stronger. I think she's saying it's okay, Lena said. Or she's saying I should shut up and let her sleep. They lay back down, Adrian's arm around her, hand on her bump. Slowly, his breathing evened out. No more anxious mumbling. Just sleep. Lena stayed awake longer, feeling her daughter move, watching moonlight paint patterns on the ceiling, thinking about papers she didn't sign and freedom she didn't take, and choices that mattered. 6 months ago, she'd had no choices. Now she had all of them. And she chose this. The next few weeks settled into routine. Adrian worked remotely, video conferences that lasted hours. Lena read baby books and argued with Maria about whether cloth diapers were worth the hassle. They took walks around the property's perimeter, security following at a distance. Normal life in a very abnormal situation. At 30 weeks, Lena started feeling wrong. Not sick exactly, just off. Pressure in her abdomen that wouldn't ease, exhaustion that sleep didn't fix. It's probably normal, she told Adrian. Everything makes you tired when you're pregnant. Call the doctor anyway. I'm fine. Lena, call the doctor. She did, mostly to stop his hovering. Dr. Reeves listened to her symptoms and said to come in immediately. Immediately meaning today or immediately meaning eventually? Lena asked. Immediately meaning get in the car now. Adrian drove like a man escaping crime scenes. They made the hour trip to the clinic in 40 minutes. Dr. Reeves met them in the exam room, already pulling up equipment. Let's take a look. The ultrasound showed their daughter exactly where she should be, wiggling, kicking, completely oblivious to parental panic. Baby's fine, Dr. Reeves said, but your blood pressure is elevated. Have you been stressed? Define stressed. Lena, Adrian said, tell her. Someone broke into our home 3 weeks ago. We've been in hiding since. My husband's restructuring his entire business. My mother's in remission but fragile. I'm growing a person. Define not stressed. Dr. Reeves nodded like this made perfect sense. Your blood pressure is borderline for preeclampsia. I want to monitor you closely. Weekly appointments from here on out. Is the baby okay? Baby's fine, but you need to rest. And by rest, I mean actual rest, not doing lighter housework rest. I don't do housework. We have Maria. Then sit and let Maria do everything. Doctor's orders. Adrian looked relieved. Done. She's on bed rest starting now. I didn't say bed rest. Close enough. Dr. Reeves made notes. Any swelling in your hands or feet? Headaches? Vision changes? Some swelling. My rings don't fit anymore. That's normal. But tell me immediately if it gets worse, or if you have sudden headaches, see spots, anything unusual. They left with instructions and fear. Adrian drove more carefully on the return trip, like sudden movements might break something. I'm fine, Lena said. You're not fine. Your blood pressure is high. It's borderline high. There's a difference. Not to me. His hands were white on the steering wheel. What if something happens? What if we're too far from the hospital? Then we call an ambulance like normal people. Normal people don't have security teams and enemies trying to kill them. Fair point. Back at the house, Adrian went full dictator. He moved her to the main bedroom, his mother's room, the one with the best view and softest bed. Set up a monitoring system so he could check her vitals from his office. Banned her from stairs. This is excessive, Lena protested. This is necessary. Dr. Reeves said rest. You're resting. I feel fine. You're growing our daughter while dodging death threats and dealing with blood pressure issues. You don't get to feel fine. Maria backed him up completely. Between the two of them, Lena spent the next week essentially imprisoned in bed. Reading, sleeping, feeling her daughter kick, going slowly insane from boredom. On day 8, she snapped. I'm taking a walk. No, you're not, Adrian said from the doorway. You can't stop me. Want to bet? She tried to stand. He was across the room in seconds, hand on her shoulder. Lena, please, just stay put. I'm going crazy. I need air. Then we'll move you to the porch. But you're not walking around. They compromised. Lena on the porch, feet up, Adrian working beside her on his laptop. Not ideal, but better than four walls. Tell me about your mother, she said after a while. He looked up. Why? Because I'm bored, and you never talk about her. He closed the laptop, stared at gardens his mother had planted decades ago. She was kind, too kind. My father destroyed that in her, piece by piece. His voice was quiet. She used to read to me every night, made up stories about brave knights and clever princesses. When she died, I stopped believing in those stories. And now? Now I'm trying to remember them. For our daughter. He looked at Lena. She should grow up with stories, with someone who reads to her every night. You'll be good at that. How do you know? Because you're already practicing. I hear you talking to my stomach when you think I'm asleep. He flushed slightly. She should know my voice before she's born. What do you tell her? That I love her, that I'm terrified, that I'll try my best not to screw this up. He moved his chair closer. Sometimes I tell her about my mother, about this house, about how her grandmother would have loved her. Lena's chest tightened. She's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. His hand covered hers. Both of you, you saved me from becoming my father, from that empty life. I'd have spent decades building an empire for no one. And now I'm building a family. Much scarier, much better. At 32 weeks, Lena felt the first real contraction. Not Braxton Hicks' practice contractions, something harder, meaner. It stole her breath. Adrian? He was up immediately. What's wrong? I don't know. That felt... Another one hit. Definitely not normal. He had his phone out, already calling. We're coming in. Now. I don't care if it's early. Something's wrong. The drive was a blur. Lena focused on breathing through contractions that kept coming. Too early. Way too early. Their daughter needed more time. Dr. Reeves met them at the clinic with a wheelchair and calm efficiency. How far apart are the contractions? 5 minutes, Adrian said. Maybe less. In the exam room, monitors confirmed what Lena already knew. Her body was trying to deliver a baby who wasn't ready. We need to stop this, Dr. Reeves said. I'm admitting you. We'll try medication to halt the contractions. And if that doesn't work, then we deliver. At 32 weeks, baby has good survival odds. But we're going to try everything to keep her cooking longer. The medication made Lena feel like her skin was vibrating. Unpleasant didn't cover it. But it worked. Contractions slowed, then stopped. You're staying here, Dr. Reeves said. On monitors. If this happens again, we need to be ready. For how long? Until you deliver. Whether that's 2 weeks or 8 weeks. Adrian looked pale. She'll be here for 2 months? If that's what it takes to keep baby safe, yes. They set Lena up in a private room that looked more like a hotel than a hospital. Adrian refused to leave, sleeping in a chair beside her bed, waking at every alarm from the monitors. You should go home, Lena said on day 3. Get actual sleep. I'm sleeping. You're sitting in a chair and staring at machines. Same thing. Adrian, I'm not leaving. Stop asking. Maria brought clothes and food. Marcus called with business updates Adrian barely listened to. The world kept spinning outside the clinic while inside time stopped. At 34 weeks, Dr. Reeves examined her and smiled. Good news. Baby's measuring well. If we can get you to 36 weeks, we're in much safer territory. And if I don't make it? Then we deliver and baby spends time in NICU. But every day counts. Lena made it to 35 weeks before her body betrayed her again. This time, the medication didn't stop the contractions. Dr. Reeves came in at 2 a.m. looking serious. We're delivering. Baby's in distress. It's time. Adrian gripped Lena's hand hard enough to bruise. Is she okay? She will be. But we need to move fast. Everything happened in fast forward. Operating room, bright lights, people in masks moving with purpose. Adrian beside her, still holding her hand, looking terrified. I'm right here, he kept saying. I'm not leaving. I'm right here. The surgery was quick, professional. Then a sound split the air, thin, outraged wailing. She's here, someone said. Healthy girl. Lena couldn't see her. They whisked her away to check vitals, clear lungs. Adrian's eyes tracked their daughter across the room like a targeting system. Go, Lena said. Go be with her. I'm not leaving you. I'm fine. She needs you. Go. He kissed her forehead and went. Lena lay there, numb from surgery, listening to her daughter cry and feeling something fundamental shift in the universe. They brought her back wrapped in blankets. So small, 5 pounds, 3 ounces of outrage and perfection. She's perfect, the nurse said, breathing on her own, good color. You did good, Mama. Adrian stood frozen, staring at the bundle in his arms like he'd never seen a baby before. Maybe he hadn't. Not one that was his. She has your nose, Lena whispered. She has your eyes. His voice cracked. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, I'm your dad, and I'm absolutely terrified, but we'll figure it out together, okay? The baby's fist waved, connected with his finger. He made a sound between a laugh and a sob. She's strong, he said. She's a Voss. She's a Carter Voss. He looked at Lena. She should have both names, both families. Emma Catherine Carter Voss, Lena said, testing it. They'd argued names for weeks, never quite agreeing. Emma for your mother, Catherine for mine. Perfect. Adrian brought their daughter closer. Emma. Our Emma. Emma. Emma chose that moment to scream, red-faced and furious about being born too early into a world that wasn't ready for her. She's definitely ours, Adrian said, already yelling at the world. They kept Emma in NICU for observation, standard procedure for preemies. Lena recovered in her room while Adrian split time between them, unable to stay away from either for long. On day 3, they let Lena hold Emma skin to skin. The baby was so small, so fragile. Lena pressed her daughter against her chest and felt her own heart rewrite itself around this tiny person. I love you, she whispered. I love you so much it's terrifying. Emma made a small noise, nuzzling closer, looking for warmth, comfort, safety. All the things Lena would spend the rest of her life providing. Adrian stood at the window, watching them. When Lena looked up, his face was wet. What's wrong? Nothing, everything. He came over, sat carefully on the bed. I didn't think I could feel this much, for anyone. Welcome to parenthood. It's awful and perfect, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Emma stayed in NICU for 2 weeks, longest 2 weeks of their lives. Daily check-ins with doctors, watching monitors, holding their breath every time an alarm sounded. But Emma was strong. She gained weight, learned to eat, proved she was ready for the world, whether the world was ready for her or not. On day 14, Dr. Reeves signed discharge papers. She's ready to go home. Are you sure? Adrian asked for the 100th time. She's thriving. Take her home. Love her. You'll all be fine. They drove back to the house at 15 miles an hour, Adrian treating every bump like a threat. Emma slept through the entire trip, unimpressed by parental panic. Maria had transformed the nursery, fresh flowers cleaned and organized, ready for occupation. When they walked in with Emma, she burst into tears. She's beautiful. She's asleep, Lena corrected. Beautiful and asleep. The perfect baby. They took turns holding her, marveling at tiny fingers and impossible smallness. Adrian couldn't stop touching her, checking that she was breathing, that she was warm, that she was real. You're going to spoil her, Lena said. Absolutely. He looked up from Emma's face. She's the best thing I've ever done. Better than any business, any deal. This. That night, Emma woke them every 2 hours. Lena fed her while Adrian changed diapers with engineering precision. They were exhausted, shell-shocked, completely unprepared. We have no idea what we're doing, Lena said at 4 a.m. None whatsoever, Adrian agreed. We're going to screw this up. Definitely. But we'll do it together. Together. He kissed her temple. Always together. Emma was 3 weeks old when Lena's mother finally got clearance to visit. Dr. Patterson drove her out personally, hovering like Emma might break if someone breathed wrong. Lena watched from the window as her mother climbed out of the car, slower than before. Thinner, but alive. Gloriously, impossibly alive. You're going to cry, Adrian said from behind her. I'm not crying. You're already crying. He was right. Lena was already crying. Her mother came through the door and stopped, taking in the house, the security, the evidence of wealth so different from their old life. Then she saw Emma in Adrian's arms, and nothing else mattered. "Oh," she breathed. "Oh, she's perfect." "She's loud and demanding and keeps us up all night," Lena said. "So yes, perfect." Her mother held Emma with practiced hands, the muscle memory of motherhood kicking in. Emma made an outraged noise at being transferred, but settled quickly, recognizing something familiar in the touch. "She looks like you did," her mother said. "Same grumpy expression when she's hungry." "I don't look grumpy." "You absolutely do," Adrian confirmed. They sat in the living room, Lena's mother holding Emma, Adrian hovering like security detail, Dr. Patterson pretending not to be fascinated by the whole scene. Normal afternoon, except nothing about their lives was normal. "I'm sorry," Lena's mother said suddenly, "for the contract, for putting you in this position." "Mom, I thought I was saving you. Instead, I sold you." Her voice cracked. "I've had months to think about it, lying in hospital beds, getting treatments I couldn't afford, every day wondering what I'd cost you." Lena moved to sit beside her. "You didn't cost me anything. I cost you your freedom. You gave me a reason to survive. There's a difference." She looked at Adrian, who was pretending to examine something fascinating on the ceiling. "I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't angry. I was furious. At you. At him. At the whole situation. But Mom," she touched Emma's tiny hand. "Look what came from it." Her mother's eyes filled. "She's beautiful. She's a Voss, which means she's stubborn and bossy and completely sure she runs the world. She's 3 weeks old. Trust me, she knows." Adrian laughed quietly. "She's not wrong. Emma has opinions about everything. Sleep schedules, diaper brands, the temperature of her bottle." "She's particular," Lena agreed. "She's her mother's daughter." They spent the afternoon trading Emma back and forth, Lena's mother offering advice nobody asked for but everyone needed. How to burp her properly, the best angle for feeding, which cries meant hungry versus tired versus just generally annoyed at existence. "You're going to be fine," her mother said eventually. "Both of you. You're already better parents than you think." "We have no idea what we're doing," Lena admitted. "Nobody does. That's the secret. We're all just guessing." She handed Emma back to Adrian, who took her like she was made of glass. "But you love her. That's what matters." After they left, Lena found Adrian in the nursery, Emma asleep in his arms, neither moving, just existing in the quiet. "You okay?" she asked. "Your mother forgave you, just like that. She forgave both of us. I don't deserve forgiveness." He looked down at Emma. "I manipulated you, trapped you, used your mother's illness as leverage." "I know." "So why are you still here?" Lena came closer, touched his face. "Because people are more than their worst decisions. You made terrible choices. So did my mother, so have I. But we're trying to be better. That's what matters." "Is it enough?" "It has to be. Because we can't change the past. We can only show up for the future." He kissed her, careful not to jostle Emma. "I don't know what I did to deserve you." "You didn't deserve me, but you got me anyway. Life's funny like that." Emma chose that moment to wake up screaming. Adrian jumped, nearly dropped her, recovered with questionable grace. "She's hungry," Lena said. "How do you know?" "That's her hungry cry. You'll learn." "There are different cries?" "Oh, honey, you have so much to learn." The weeks blurred together. Days measured in feeding schedules and diaper changes and precious minutes of sleep. Adrian threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he'd once reserved for business deals. Researching baby development, interviewing pediatricians, installing safety equipment like Emma might suddenly develop the ability to walk and immediately throw herself into danger. "She's 3 months old," Lena said, watching him install corner guards on furniture. "She can't even roll over yet." "She will eventually. I'm being proactive." "You're being paranoid." "Same thing." Marcus called weekly with business updates. Adrian listened with half attention, more concerned with Emma's tummy time than quarterly earnings. The empire he'd built was being handed off piece by piece to people he trusted. Legitimate operations run by legitimate people. Nothing that would make his daughter ashamed. You're walking away from millions, Marcus said during one call. I'm walking towards something better, Adrian replied, Emma doing her impression of a very angry potato on his lap. You've gone soft. I've gone sane. There's a difference. Victoria tried one last time, showed up at the house with photographers and a manufactured scandal about Adrian's past. Security stopped her at the gate. Adrian didn't even bother going to meet her. Aren't you curious what she wants? Lena asked. No. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. He was feeding Emma, utterly focused. She's part of my past. You're my present and future. That's all I need to know. What if she makes trouble? Then she makes trouble. People always do. He looked up. But she can't touch what matters. Not anymore. Emma spit up on his shoulder. He didn't even flinch. You've changed, Lena observed. For the better, I hope. Definitely for the better. At 6 months, Emma learned to laugh. Real belly-shaking laughter that could crack the hardest hearts. Adrian discovered he'd do absolutely anything to make her laugh. Silly faces, ridiculous voices, peekaboo until his arms hurt. You're spoiling her, Maria said, watching Adrian make airplane noises while Emma shrieked with joy. That's my job. Your job is to raise her, not turn her into a tiny tyrant. She's already a tyrant. I'm just acknowledging reality. Emma laughed again, and Adrian looked like he'd won the lottery. Lena watched from the doorway, heart full of something that still didn't have a name. Not happiness exactly, too simple. Not contentment, too passive. Something bigger, messier, something that hurt in the best way. This was her life now, their life, built from terrible choices and desperate measures and somewhere along the way transforming into something worth keeping. When Emma was 8 months old, Adrian came home with papers. Different papers this time, not contracts or legal documents. Adoption forms. I want to adopt her, he said. Lena blinked. She's already yours. Biologically. I know, but the original contract, technically, she's leverage. Proof that your mother's deal was fulfilled. His expression was pained. I want to adopt her properly. Make it official that she's mine because I choose her, not because some contract says so. Hey, Adrian, I need this. To know that our family isn't built on that contract. That we're here because we want to be. Lena understood. The need to overwrite bad beginnings, to prove that endings could be rewritten. Okay, she said, let's do it. The adoption was quick, judge who didn't ask questions, paperwork that made Emma officially theirs in ways that mattered. When they walked out of the courthouse, Adrian looked lighter. Thank you, he said. For what? For letting me be her father. Really be her father. You already were. Now it's official. That night they celebrated with takeout and Emma's enthusiastic attempts to eat solid food. She managed to get more on her face than in her mouth, but nobody cared. I have something for you too, Lena said after Emma was asleep. She handed him papers. He opened them cautiously. Inside was the contract her mother had signed. The original one, stamped across every page in red ink, void. I had my lawyer handle it, Lena explained. Everything that started this, it's gone. Officially, legally gone. We're not bound by it anymore. We're just a family, Adrian finished. Yeah, just a family. He pulled her close, papers crumpling between them. Best deal I ever made. Giving up that contract. You didn't give it up, I did. We did it together. That's the point. Emma started crying from the nursery. They went together, moving in practice synchronization. Adrian lifted her while Lena checked her diaper. Team effort. Partnership. She's just lonely, Adrian said, rocking her gently. Wants company. She's 8 months old. She doesn't get lonely. Sure she does. Don't you, Emma? Tell your mother she's wrong. Emma grabbed his nose and yanked, hard. See, Lena said. She agrees with me. She's clearly conflicted. They ended up in bed together. All three of them, Emma between them, grabbing at faces and making the pterodactyl noises she'd recently discovered. Not peaceful, not picture perfect, but real. We should get a bigger bed, Adrian said. We have a bigger bed. She's just taking up all of it. She's 8 months old and weighs 15 pounds. Tell her that. Emma kicked both of them and laughed about it. When Emma turned 1, they had a party. Small thing. Just Maria, Lena's mother, doctor, Patterson, Marcus, and Susan Rodriguez, a few others who'd earned their way into this strange assembled family. Emma smashed cake into her hair and screamed when they tried to clean it off. "She's got personality," Susan observed. "She's got my genes," Adrian said proudly. "That's what I said. Personality." Later, after everyone left and Emma crashed from sugar, Lena found Adrian on the porch, looking at stars. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "A year ago, I was someone else. Someone who thought contracts and control were the only things that mattered." He pulled her close. "You changed that. Emma changed that. We didn't change you. You changed yourself." "Semantics. Truth." She looked up at him. "You chose to be different. Nobody forced you." "You made me want to be different. That's the same thing." Emma cried from inside, not upset, just making noise because she could. Adrian started to get up, but Lena stopped him. "She's fine, just talking to herself." "How do you know?" "Because I know her cries, just like I know yours." "I don't cry." "You absolutely do. Different cries for different things. Your worried cry, your overwhelmed cry, your I love them so much it hurts cry." "That's not a real thing?" "You did it yesterday, when Emma took her first steps." He had. 3 stumbling steps before falling on her diaper-padded rear. Adrian had cried openly, not even trying to hide it. "She's growing up too fast," he said now. "That's what they do. Make her stop." "Can't. That's the deal. We keep them safe and love them, and they keep growing anyway. Terrible deal. I want to renegotiate." "Too late. You're stuck now." Emma's noises increased in volume, definitely wanting attention now. "I'll get her," Adrian said. "We'll get her. Together." They went inside together, to their daughter, who was already climbing furniture and plotting world domination. To their life that started wrong and somehow ended up right. To their family built from contracts and desperation, but held together by choice. At 3 years old, Emma asked why they had 2 wedding photos. "Because we got married twice," Lena explained. "That's silly." "Your dad's silly. What can I say?" Adrian picked Emma up, tossed her in the air while she shrieked. "The first time we didn't know we loved each other. The second time we did. Big difference." "But you're married now." "Very married." "Forever?" "Forever and ever." "Even when I'm a grown-up?" "Even then. Especially then. When you're a grown-up and bringing home terrible boyfriends, we'll still be married and hating them together." "What if I bring home girlfriends?" "Then we'll hate them together too. We're equal opportunity disapprovers." Emma giggled and demanded to be thrown higher. Later, when Emma was asleep and they had 30 seconds of peace, Adrian asked, "Do you ever regret it?" "Regret what?" "Staying, choosing this life." Lena thought about it honestly. "Sometimes, when I'm tired or Emma's being impossible or I remember what it felt like to have no choices. But then," she gestured around them. "Look what we built, from nothing, from worse than nothing. Is it enough? It's everything." He kissed her, slow and sure. "I don't deserve you. We've established that. But you're stuck with me anyway. Worst deal I ever made, trapping you with a contract. Best decision you ever made, letting me go. You stayed anyway. Because by then I had reasons to stay." Emma called from her room, not crying, just demanding to know they were there. Adrian went, like always, checked under her bed for monsters, adjusted her nightlight, kissed her forehead. "Love you, Emma Bean." "Love you, Daddy." Simple words. Universe-changing words. He came back to find Lena in bed reading something on her phone. "What are you looking at?" "Old photos. From before." She showed him pictures of her old apartment, her mother sick in hospital beds, her own exhausted face staring at the camera. "Why torture yourself?" "Not torture. Perspective." She set down the phone. "That was my life, and I thought that was all I'd ever have. Working myself to death for scraps. Watching my mother die slowly. Just surviving. And now? Now I'm living. There's a difference." She touched his face. "You gave me that. Not with money or contracts. With choice. When you let me go and I chose to stay. I was terrified you'd leave. I was terrified I'd want to. But you didn't. But I didn't. They fell asleep tangled together, alarm set for Emma's inevitable 3 a.m. wake-up call. Not perfect, not peaceful, but theirs. 5 years after that first night when Lena's freedom died and something new was born, they stood in the same garden where they'd renewed their vows. Emma was 5 now, starting kindergarten next week, already reading at a second-grade level because she was brilliant and stubborn and absolutely her father's daughter. Mom's cancer came back, Lena said quietly. Adrian's hand tightened on hers. When? Last week. She didn't want to tell us, didn't want to ruin Emma's birthday. What's the prognosis? Not good. But she's fighting. Again. Lena's voice cracked. I'm so tired of her fighting. I know. She's going to die. Eventually, probably sooner than later. I know. And Emma's going to lose her grandmother. She'll still have us, and Maria, and this weird family we've built. He pulled Lena closer. We'll get through it, like everything else. You're very confident for someone who used to deal with problems by throwing money at them. I learned from the best. I'm a mess. You're my mess. Emma ran over, grass-stained and happy. Daddy, there's a frog by the pond. Can I keep it? No. Please? Still no. You never let me keep anything cool. You have 17 stuffed animals and a fish named Princess Sparkle. You have plenty. Emma pouted but ran back to examine the frog anyway. She's you, Lena said. She's absolutely you. Want to bet? I'm not betting against our daughter. That's how I lose money. They watched Emma investigate the frog, Marcus's daughter joining her, both girls completely absorbed in 5-year-old concerns that felt monumental and were absolutely trivial. I'm glad you trapped me, Lena said suddenly. Adrian looked shocked. What? I'm glad. That first night, the contract, all of it. Because if my mother hadn't been desperate and you hadn't been whatever you were, Emma wouldn't exist. We wouldn't exist. And yeah, it was wrong, but it led here. She gestured at the garden, their daughter, the life they'd built. So I'm glad. That's the most twisted thing you've ever said. Welcome to my brain. It's confusing in here. I'm not glad I trapped you. I'm glad you stayed despite it. His hand found her stomach. Speaking of which, have you told Emma yet? About the baby? No, waiting for the right moment. When's that? When she's 30 and moved out. He laughed. She's going to lose her mind. She's going to demand we send it back. Too late. No returns on siblings. You should have read the fine print. Emma came running back. Mom, Dad, the frog jumped in the pond. Can we get a pond at our house? No, they said in unison. You never let me have anything fun. We let you have a little sister, Adrian said. Emma froze. What? Surprise. The 5-year-old's face went through several emotions. Confusion, disbelief, calculation. Can I teach her stuff? Sure. Can I be the boss? Absolutely not. Then I don't want a sister. Too bad. She's already ordered. No returns. Emma thought about it. Can I name her? You can suggest names. Then I want her, but only if we also get a frog. Still no on the frog. Life continued in its messy, imperfect way. Lena's mother fought her cancer with everything she had, determined to meet her second grandchild. Emma started kindergarten and came home with stories about friends and enemies and teachers who didn't understand her genius. Adrian restructured his last business holdings, finally walking away from everything that connected him to his father's empire. At night, Lena lay in bed with Adrian's hand on her growing stomach, feeling their second daughter kick. She's strong, Adrian said. She's a Carter Voss, of course she's strong. What should we name her? Emma suggested Princess Frog. That's actually not the worst thing she's suggested. Yesterday she wanted to name her dinosaur. See? Princess Frog is almost reasonable. They laughed quietly, not wanting to wake Emma, who'd snuck into their bed again despite promises to stay in her own room. Thank you, Lena said. For what? For being terrible at this, at parenting and marriage and all of it. That's a weird thing to thank me for. If you were perfect, I'd feel like I was failing, but you're a mess. So we're both messes together. That's very romantic. I'm very romantic. You told me yesterday I looked like death. You did. You were up all night with Emma when she had that nightmare. And you said I looked like death. Because you did. Honesty is romantic. Your definition of romantic needs work. Emma stirred between them. You're talking loud. Sorry, Bug. The baby's kicking again. I can feel it through Mom. That's your sister saying hi. Tell her to stop kicking. Mom needs sleep. You tell her. Emma put her hand on Lena's stomach. Hi, baby. Stop kicking. Mom's tired. Love you. Good night. The baby kicked harder. She doesn't listen, Emma reported. She's definitely your sister, Adrian said. When Lena's mother died 3 months before the second baby was born, it felt both sudden and inevitable. A phone call in the middle of the night, a drive to the hospital, holding her mother's hand while machines beeped their final rhythm. Thank you, her mother whispered, for forgiving me. There's nothing to forgive. There's everything to forgive. But you did anyway. She touched Lena's stomach weakly. Name her Catherine, after me. I was already planning to. You always were a good liar, she smiled. Adrian, take care of them. Always, he said. She died 20 minutes later, Emma asleep in the waiting room, unaware that her grandmother had slipped away while she dreamed. The funeral was small. The grief was enormous. Emma didn't understand why Grandma wasn't coming back. Lena tried to explain death to a 5-year-old and failed miserably. Adrian tried too, did slightly better, still ended with Emma crying herself to sleep. We're bad at this, Lena said that night. The worst. Our kids are going to need so much therapy. At least they'll have each other. Catherine Rose Carter Voss was born 6 weeks early, screaming into the world like her sister before her. Healthy, angry, absolutely sure she ran the place. Emma met her sister with deep suspicion. She's really small. You were too once. But I got bigger. She will too. Will she be cooler than me? Impossible. You're the coolest. Emma considered this. Can I hold her? They arranged Catherine in Emma's arms carefully. The baby looked up at her big sister with unfocused eyes. Hi, Emma whispered. I'm Emma. I'm your sister. I'm going to teach you everything, except the bad stuff. Mom and Dad will be mad if I teach you the bad stuff. Catherine grabbed Emma's finger. She likes me, Emma reported, awed. She loves you, Lena corrected. That's basically the same thing. Adrian took a photo, Emma holding Catherine, both girls with identical serious expressions. Family. Imperfect and messy and absolutely real. That night, after both girls were finally asleep, Adrian found Lena on the porch where they'd had so many conversations. Your mother would be proud, he said. Of what? Barely keeping these kids alive? Of you. Of us. Of this family we built from absolutely nothing. Lena leaned into him. We had something. We had desperation and love and stubbornness. Terrible foundation. Best foundation. She looked up at him. You know what I realized? That contract, the one my mother signed, the one that started this whole mess, it wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. It wasn't? No, the worst thing would have been never meeting you, never having Emma or Catherine, never building this ridiculous, chaotic family. She touched his face. So yeah, I'm glad she signed it, even though it was wrong, even though we both made terrible choices, because look where we ended up. Here, together, choosing each other every single day. That's the real marriage, Adrian said, not the contract, not even the ceremony, just choosing each other over and over. Even when we're terrible at it, especially then, Emma called from inside, Mom, Dad, Catherine's crying again. Your turn, they said simultaneously. I got her last time. No, you didn't, I did. We could both go. Revolutionary concept, let's try it. They went inside together, to their daughters who needed them, to their life that nobody planned but everyone chose, to their family built from contracts and desperation, but held together by something stronger than either. Love wasn't the whole story. Love was just the beginning. The real story was in the choosing, in the waking up every day and deciding to stay, to try, to be better than yesterday. The real story was in the mistakes they made and the grace they gave each other for making them. In the nights they held each other while babies screamed and wondered what the hell they'd gotten themselves into. In the mornings they woke up exhausted and chose to keep going anyway. Years later, when Emma was grown and Catherine was in college and Adrian's hair had gone gray and Lena's hands had lines from a lifetime of work, when they sat on that same porch and watched grandchildren they never imagined having, someone would ask them how they made it work. And they'd look at each other and laugh, because the truth was, they didn't make it work. They just showed up. Every day. Even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. They chose each other when choosing was difficult, and stayed when leaving would have been easier, and built something real from the wreckage of something that should have destroyed them both. That was the story. Not the contract or the forced marriage or the pregnancy that changed everything. The story was in the choice. Every single day, the choice. And they kept choosing each other, right up until the end.